So good morning, everyone. Hello. Hello, Mike.
Hello, everyone.
I'm just actually going to adjust my volume a bit just for the feedback. There we go. This is one of our first art talks that we're doing, and this is our featured photographer, Mike Rowley. Hope I said it right, and if I didn't, just in case I didn't say that properly. Um, Mike, can you actually hold on? So, I'm going to start off describing the program a little bit. So, our photography course is exclusively online. Our demographic of students ranges from ages, like my youngest, I think, is like 16, 15, oldest kind of in their 20s. So, we have a very wide range of students and we have a wide range of talent. I have students that have never taken an art course or a photography course, and I have students who are very active in their community of like photo clubs and like things like that, where they're much more versed in technology and things. Um,
Sweet.
so again, it's an eclectic kind of group. So I guess I'll start off first by asking, where are you from?
So I grew up in Barrie.
Hmm.
I went to London, and I now live downtown Toronto.
And what high school did you go to, if you don't mind me
Oh,
asking?
in Kingsdale.
Initial secondary. And can you do a shout out to who your art teacher was?
Yes, my shout out to Mr. Taylor, who was my favorite teacher through 4 years of high school.
So guaranteed someone is in his class right now or knows Mr. Taylor, guaranteed. So shout out to Mr. Taylor, who I also worked with and who's a really cool dude. Anyways, shout out there to Mr. Awesome. So how did photography enter your life? How did we kind of stumble?
So photography was never something that I was really pursuing as a career. I when I was younger, I took a photography course in grade 9 with Mr. Taylor, and then I started doing photography for a company that I worked for. It was recreational ball hockey, so we needed pictures for our social media, and at the time was for our website and to put up in the clubhouse. So I just went out with a crappy little camera and took pictures. Is it lagging for you? Or
Legging?
can you?
No.
Okay, my screen's being a little funny, but as long as you can hear me fine.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Cool. So I was doing pictures for that for years, just taking action shots or championship photos, and never really thought anything of it. When I moved to Toronto, I started using my cell phone to take pictures of buildings and just stuff that I sort of saw around. And from there, I started posting on Instagram. I started having some people reach out to me, so I started working with some models. From there, I started taking headshots of coworkers, and ultimately, that made me decide to try and pursue freelance photography as my career for 3.5 years. I got to work with a number of different brands and did a lot of different work. Headshots and product photography was probably the majority. Did a little bit of everything under the sun. I've shot weddings, I've shot engagements, a little bit of everything over the last few years. And now I'm doing it as a part time gig frequently throughout the month. And then I work full time, sort of 9 to 5. So kind of been all over the place with photography over the last 15 years of my life.
So fair to say then, you don't have like this wasn't the path in the beginning, and it wasn't necessarily there's no formal training like in order that you put yourself through or went through.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, shout out to grade 9 photography class and making a Pringles pinhole camera. That's the most formal training I've ever had, though. I've bought books and read and studied, not studied very loosely, but like read books or looked on the Wikipedia page of famous photographers to kind of see what they've done. I've watched countless hours of YouTube videos, and
Hmm.
granted, at the end of the day, you pick something up and you go, I want to learn how to take pictures of the model. So I reach out to a model and tried that. If I want to try product photography, I go, what do I want to do? I want to do food photography. Okay, well, let's get in touch with somebody who has food. Let's try that and then see where it goes from there. So it's really, I've never really been formally taught. Everything's been experimental, I guess.
That's awesome. Nope, that's awesome.
Taught, learned on the fly.
And I should say, how did you start the business? You kind of touched on it already. But how did you start it? So you started your business kind of accidentally. and then I guess through networking and like word of mouth, it's sort of built.
Grew. Yeah. So I would not have probably been able to grow it as fast as I did if I didn't have the job. So I was working at Salesforce and I was in sales and had a lot of great connections from that. Did your power just go out?
Sorry, no, it's a censored light. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, okay,
It's a
cool, cool.
censored light, and I'm staying still.
So when I worked there, I was very lucky to have a lot of people that needed headshots already. So I had a clientele that I was able to develop from my coworkers, get them to do a headshot after work. Once in a blue moon, I got convinced them to let me come in and do like a full afternoon for people. But once they started putting their photos on LinkedIn, other people started to notice that. So other companies started to reach out to them and say, "Oh, who did your headshot?" They said, "Mike, I started to book people." Sorry, started to book people from that. So it was kind of accidental. I started burning vacation days so that I could do full headshot days where I was taking 20 to 40 people's picture.
Cool.
And then I was doing 2 or 3 of those a month for a few months. I want to give a try at doing this full time. So I exited the corporate life and embarked on doing it full time.
And your biggest or the biggest challenge that you feel is in starting a business in photography, of course, but like even in the arts, I find in general, but photography specifically, the biggest challenge you found trying to establish a business for yourself.
Well, I think it is definitely relevant to photography, but it's probably relevant to starting any business, especially if it's one that's kind of like a solopreneur kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's cash. At the end of the day, the tools you need and the tools you want are expensive.
So
If
sorry, you say
you
it cut out. Did you say cash flow?
cash flow, you at the end of the day, you need to be making enough money. So
Yep.
whether you have a part-time job so that you can fund it or a full-time job so that you can fund it, you need to be able to afford to do the job. Whether that's getting to the gigs, having the right equipment, God forbid you put your equipment and need to get new equipment, your insurance, like there's just endless costs, your website, there's always money to be spent. So just making sure that you have the money to do that, I think, is the number one challenge for starting a business, especially an artist related business, because sometimes that just because you have the skills and the or the following, perhaps if you're big on social media, that doesn't necessarily translate to dollars in the bank account, which also doesn't necessarily translate to rent being paid. I've turned down enough brands who have said, "Oh, I want to work with you," and then they say it's for exposure, and you go, "Okay, well, I don't care anymore." But at the same time, when you started, I went, "Okay, you know what? It's worth me just getting the opportunity to learn how to take these kind of photos."
That is a very good segue into my next question in terms of social media. So obviously, like we are a society that shares. That's what we do. We take photos, we share. So my question is, okay, so I'm being specific to opening a business. So in regards to social media, what is your position on this idea of followers versus customers? And should, in your opinion, as a photographer, and I don't know if students necessarily think of it this way, should we be maybe this is a multi-step question. What's your position on social media, likes
Mm-hmm.
versus customers? And then part B, should we be sharing our art, our work for free?
Okay, those are two. You might have to remind me of the second one if I get
That's okay.
back if I get off on a tangent. But
That's okay.
with respect to social media, I mean, being the age that I am, I remember when Facebook came out.
Yep.
Instagram came out. My Twitter account was the first month that Twitter existed. So
Yep.
I've kind of been around for the ride for a long time, and I used to really like it, and I used to actively participate, and I used to comment and like and do all of that. I think that at this point, it's such a pay-to-play game, and it's between algorithms and just I also don't care. I don't think it's that important. I think that having social media is a good way to have something that people can see. If you don't have a great website, people need to be able to see a portfolio in order to hire you or know who you are.
Right.
And I think sort of on that, I think it's important to decide, is your photography your goal to create art and have people like your art and follow you because you're an artist, or are you doing photography because it's a business and you want to gain clients and you want their money? Because those are two really different things, I guess, at the end of the day. Trying to think, unless I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're taking pictures for fans and for art, you have a lot more freedom to do whatever you want. If you want to take pictures and heavily Photoshop them, do more graphic arts, or do lots of toning, really change the image. That's great to for artistic work and to have people are going to love it and get a lot of followers. On the other hand, that's not for the most part what clients are looking to pay for. Clients generally want a great, well-lit photo that represents what you see with your eyes. So playing with the tones and changing the actual photo isn't what they're paying for. So
interesting.
Not necessarily, those kind of photos don't necessarily do well on social media. I can think of some of my biggest gigs. I've never posted anything on social media because they'd probably get like one like, and people would be like, "Why did you post a photo of a movie theater?" like at the end of the day, it's just that it doesn't necessarily have the same level of excitement. So I think
interesting.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on social media. And then the second question was more along. What was the second question?
It was, should we be sharing, and it's kind of connected indirectly, but it's, should we be sharing our art? Because that's what we consider it, right? Like business, if this is what we're doing or pursuing, this is what we take the time to do and work at. So should we just be sharing it for free? But it's kind of connected, I guess.
Very tough question. I think that also comes back to what your goal is. I mean, for a lot of the work I do, I'm not even allowed to share it because client paid and it's not mine to share. I also don't really care. They're not paying me to promote it, so I don't really want to post it. At the same time, if you're creating art for the sake of creating art, I want share it. When I just do things because I want to do a creative photo shoot, or I see somebody that I want to work with and we create something, I want to share that and post it and put it out there. I don't sell my art. Like, I'm not selling canvases or trying to make an income necessarily from it, but I want to get it out there. And in that case, sometimes, whether it's social media or putting it on my website, or the other person that I've worked with, a lot of times they have social media following. So getting it out there is kind of nice, and I see nothing wrong with sharing that kind of stuff for free. Just balancing your time. At the end of the day, if you're looking at it as a business, it's fun to go out and shoot fun thing, go work with a model and frolic around the city and take pictures. But if it's just going to go on social media, what's the cost to time? What the value is there, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yes, and I guess my question too, and I, when I get together with other photographers or artsy like people or like-minded people, that always sometimes, not everybody, but it comes up that within this sort of art community, I find people can have very strong opinions about whether or not we should be sharing as much as we're sharing to give integrity to the craft, whereas other people would say, that's ridiculous based on the times that we're in. It is what it is in terms of having accessible knowledge, accessible art, inspiration in art. So I find it a very interesting sort of conversation amongst the artistic community, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's important because, I mean, we are told, or sorry, our society nowadays, we're pretty used to that instant gratification. Like, I need to get likes every day. I need to post 3 times a day. So everyone sees my art. But at the same time, I think that there can be something to be said about the old-fashioned way. And I've enjoyed being in some art shows, some like random underground stuff in Toronto the last couple of years, where work that I have so much work that I've never posted on social media, and so much work that I mean, like, there's so many people I've worked with where I've taken 30 great, 30 good photos, 5 great photos, one that got posted,
Right.
none that got, and I'm just sitting on all that. So to find ways outside of social media to actually display your art, I think that's important. Because at the end of the day, you put it on social media, you're helping Instagram get a like, a click, a scroll. But if you actually go set up in a coffee shop and show off some of your pictures, maybe someone buys one, hires you, has a conversation with you. Now you've got a fan for life. And that doesn't. It also, I mean, that also takes something to put yourself out there. It's easy to throw something on social media and blame an algorithm and say, I got 2 likes, no one cares. It takes something else to throw yourself out there and put 6 pictures on the wall. Go, those are my damn photos, and hope someone likes them. One of the last shows I was in, everyone else there had like the most amazing art, and I had just a couple of random photos. And I was doing that. I was in the corner like, oh my god, like, why am I here the whole time? But I had a couple of people come and say they really liked my work, and at the end of the day, that's all you can hope for.
And I think you said something that is perfect in the sense that I've also really regurgitated to my kids, and that's we're in the world of instant gratification. And I've told my students, take 1,000 photos, so to speak, and you're lucky if you get one that really works. And I think students get really, really frustrated sometimes where they go out, they spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they take a bunch of photos, they don't like it, I suck, I can't do this, and I get that all the time. Um, and they just don't give it time or the process where you don't suck. It really does sometimes take that much time. It's not, it's the process that sometimes is more important than the actual final product, the final result. Um, and yeah, again, it's that instant gratification that is not, and sometimes, you could just take one shot and it's great, by the way. But odds are,
That'd be
um,
nice.
you're taking hundreds of pictures sometimes in hopes that you find that one image that where you're like, boom, like that's it, like that's my photo. So again, having you said that, saying that again, it's fantastic in that it regurgitates that idea that the gift sometimes is in the process, the skill is actually in the practice rather than the arrival of just getting that one picture. Okay, I'm good. I took 5. Like, oh, I'm tired. Like sometimes it's a day or whatever it is. It's a process.
Well, and then it's art too, right? At the end of the day, I look back at work I did a year ago or 3 years ago, and it sucks. It sucks. But like everything that I mean, when you look back at your work, you'll always go, "Oh my god, I could have, this hair could have been in a better spot. That location, I could have done this. Oh my god!" Like, you're always going to be your own worst critic.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I made the mistake recently. This is off topic. I had went back and looked at some of the headshots I had done 3 or 4 years ago, and they sucked. They were really, really bad, a couple of them. So I posted on my Instagram, wow, I've come a long way. This photo sucks. And then this photo is great, being like one of my recent ones. And I hadn't talked to the person
Ouch.
that I posted photo that says this photo sucks in like since I took it. And I woke up to him having blown up my Instagram, my email, my phone, my everything.
Right.
Like, I really don't appreciate you saying that my photo looks like shit.
Right.
Sorry, team. But yeah, so like that's the thing though, right? You look back and you're always your own worst critic. I've had entire shoots where I've thought every photo sucks, and then you send them to the client, and they absolutely love them, and then you show everyone else, and they're like, "Those are amazing." You go, "Okay, they don't suck." And I think that's kind of what separates it from being a hobby versus a business. At the end of the day, if when you return from shooting, you think everything sucks, whatever. If you're taking people's money and charging for a service and running a business, you have to be able to finish that. And even if you think every photo sucks, you have to know that the client's going to be happy with the work you provide.
And
Because
again, like, yeah, and you're taking
you're
people,
not retaking
yeah,
it.
you're taking people's money and you're establishing a business, and you have to be able to, hey, here's some kind of criticism or whatever, but you have to be prepared for that process as well. You're working with someone, for someone as well. So then my next
Just
question.
Sorry, I was gonna say, Joe, just as you were kind of saying, like taking that 1,000 shots,
Yes,
taking
yes.
pictures and hating them is part of the process where then you start to go, okay, you know what, I can now consistently take a picture that I'm all right, okay, happy with.
Yes, and that's time.
Very rarely do I think I have very few photos that I've taken in my lifetime that I think are phenomenal or great, like very few. But once in a while that happens, you go, yeah, that's great, and that's part of the fun.
So two-parter is my next question. Where do you get your inspiration from? Is there a specific thing, place, or process that you do to kind of inspire you to take? And then part two to that is what, in your opinion, is the most interesting thing you've ever taken a picture of?
Okay, inspiration, not so much. I At this point in my career, I'm doing most of my work is capturing, whether it is events, products, or people.
Okay.
It's pretty editorial. There's not much creative freedom. It's kind of there. It is, like, capture it.
Yeah.
When I do my own kind of stuff, I like to just generally bring out the kind of the attitude of whomever it is that I'm working with. So my inspiration, I mean, I think that at this point I have kind of my own style and how my work generally looks, but getting somebody's personality to really come out in the photos, getting them to, be a little bit, more edgy or just like bring it out in themselves is kind of what I try to do. So I always just say to people, I don't necessarily have I want to work with you, Steph, but I don't necessarily care what we create. I want to create something that makes you look like a badass, makes you look like the boss, that you're going to want to post. So that leads into kind of my favorite shoot. My favorite shoot I've ever done from a professional standpoint was for Cineplex. I took pictures of 70 different Cineplex locations across Canada. It took about 4 months of travel. It was 55 different cities. That was the coolest gig I've ever done. So if you go in their app and you select your theater, then at the top there's a picture of the front of the theater and the games room and the cinema and the concession stand. We took all those photos.
That's cool.
So that was a really cool opportunity professionally. And then my favorite personal shoot that I've done at this point, last year at TIFF, I got to work with Kim's Convenience actor Simo Liu. If you've seen the show Kim's Convenience, he's the son.
Oh my goodness.
A Marvel superhero.
I think so.
Yeah, really good looking guy. So anyways, at TIFF last year, he posted on the first day a meme on Twitter that was like, oh, when you see the event has a photographer, and it was like a running over to it kind of meme. So no one had commented on it. Guy gets like 1,000 comments on everything now in a minute, but at the time, no one had commented on it. So I responded and just said, hey, if you want to actually take some good photos in Toronto while you're here for TIFF, like, hit me up. And a couple hours later, he DM'd me, and he had a bunch of suits on loan from Ted Baker. So ended up, I don't think he could do it now, but we ended up running around downtown Toronto, around Bay Street and Yonge, for a couple hours in a bunch of different suits, just taking photos of him for his social media, which was...
That's cool.
There was no purpose other than I just messaged him and we wanted to just shoot it. Like, it wasn't for Ted Baker, it wasn't for TIFF or anything. That was just all circumstance. But I got to work with, someone who was amazing to work with, and we got some cool shots. I think he posted 5 of them on his Instagram afterwards. So that was probably my coolest personal experience.
That's
or experience.
Then I guess one of my last questions would be, is there a photographer that you are inspired by or that you follow and admire for a variety of different reasons? Anybody in particular?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out 2 people then for that.
Okay, go for it.
One is a photographer / graphic artist. He actually was in Mr. Taylor's class in grade 9 with me.
Shout out to Barry, by the way.
Shout out to Barry. Well, Barry Innistil, that Cyber Arts program has created. I know so many people who are like madly successful artists, creative types who all started back there. It's really crazy if you go look through who was in those classes and what they're doing now. It's insane. anyways, so that one person, his name is Justin Main. If you follow him on Instagram, it's at Photofied. He makes unreal photographic art pieces. Check him out. He's got, I mean, you probably already follow him. I think he's got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers at this point. He works with like the biggest brands. He's worked, I think, Aston Martin, National Geographic. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like 2 years ago, he was just like chilling in Toronto. He did a project where he did like 365 days of edits. And by the time that 365 days was done, like one a day for 30, he was spending like 12 to 16 hours a day for that year. It was insane. But he's just, since then, he's worked with
Like on one photo?
Sorry?
Like on one photo, he edited every
One
day?
photo every day. He posted one photo edit every day for a year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that would be one person that both from a drive and hustle and success standpoint, like have admired, call him a friend, like great person. So definitely would shout out him.
Check him out.
Then, yeah, check him out for sure. Another one would be my close friend Lee Solo. I actually did the Cineplex gig with him.
Oh, cool.
He has been a full-time photographer for a number of years, gotten into videography a lot now in the last while, but he does a lot of tours. So he's been touring Europe and Canada with a couple different rappers, does a lot of shoots with different brands, women, very versatile photographer, great human. So check him out. I think his handle, I'm pretty sure, is at Shot by Solo. You'd find him anywhere. Lee Solo is his name. But both those guys are probably my two biggest inspirations. Also because I know them personally, so it challenges me extra a little bit. Just push me.
Okay, last question. So if you had to give a piece of advice to somebody considering starting a photography business, or even just sort of not even a business, but like using photography as kind of a creative escape in some way, is there any tips or strategies, maybe a tip that you would give them as they're about to start out?
I think it would be good. It's do it for yourself. If you're taking photographs and doing it for you, it's fun. It's something to enjoy. If you're taking it to try and get likes and create something that other people are going to enjoy, that's not really authentic. And at the end of the day, it's just going to cause stress for yourself. So I think just enjoy it. Fun. Use it as an outlet, as a hobby. You're looking at it to be a business. Just understand how to run a business, because it's 10% taking photos and 90% running a business.
Amen. Yep.
I when I went into it, I was kind of thinking it would be 90%.
Sorry, hold on, let me get up. Sorry, guys. There you go. Sorry.
There you go. I think when I got into the business, I thought it would be a lot more taking photos and a lot less sending sales emails and invoices and chasing payments and those kind of things. So I don't know. At the end of the day, you got to do it all for yourself. If it's something you enjoy, just chase your dream and make yourself happy. Be your own number one fan, and then other people will find that and follow you for that.
Awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. I know we're taking up your time today, but we really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And guys, check out Mike's Instagram account, website, Through Mike's Lens. I posted it on our class page about a week or two ago, but check it out. Follow him on Instagram. You won't regret it. And again, thank you so much.
No problem. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm pretty responsive in my DMs. So.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a great night.